Most private practice owners don't fail because they're not getting enough clients. They fail because they just don't know what lever to pull and when. This is exactly what I learned when going through this with our business. So we were at 5K a month and struggling, and we didn't know what was wrong, what was working, if this is even a business we should be running. However, I came across these levers and priorities for us to pull from and make adjustments from, and we were able to fix things within 7 months. It legit 10x'd our business, and we were finally feeling like we could breathe and get above this. And that's why today I'm going to show you exactly what these levers are. That way you can implement it and hopefully get that same relief instantly in your business. Now, let's pull the lever. Now, this is what it looks like. If you've seen Emperor's New Groove, if you pull that wrong lever, it can be bad. So that's why we want to make sure we choose the right ones. Now, there's only 5 levers that you need to grow a successful and a scalable practice, and we call them the 5 levers of growth. Now, these 5 levers are just this: clarity, client, care, cash flow, and capacity. All C's, easy to remember. If you stay, I'll explain what goes into these levers. That way you know which one you can pull and get things improved. All right, so levers, each lever should have a system that supports it, right? So once you pull it, it has a system that runs, and there are mechanisms that you install, right? You can tweak them, and you just want to use them. That way you can get results. And once you know what levers to pull on, you know what to fix specifically. And you're not just talking about vague ideas that you're saying and running with it just to get no solution and not to solve your problems. You're actually going to take it head on. So let me show you exactly which levers that are missing and broken within your business. That way you can go implement and apply it. Now, why do we even need levers? Well, why these levers is because they're concrete, right? They give you that instant clarity on the specific areas that you can help and improve on, and almost like you're diagnosing the issue. And no different when you're dealing with clients. You just have to change your perspective on how you see it. So whether this is your team, money issues, you have clarity issues, you don't know where we're headed. So how can you actually implement this one today? First, we'll get into the clarity, right? The clarity one is going to be all about knowing where you're going and how you're going to get there. That's all it is, clarity. Where you're going, how we're going to get there. Now, with clarity, everyone on your team needs to know these things: what your practice is about, who you serve, and what success looks like and how that's going to be measured. Now, this is typically the first stop on the exit when heading down and going through these levers, because oftentimes we have these assumptions on how the business should be ran. You onboard people on your team with the assumption, because they have great skills, that they know what your culture and everything else is about. But they're just as confused as you are, because you have not sat down with this or even communicated it properly to them. So you should have this, you should have a mission and vision. You should be having meetings that reminds your team of the mission and vision, because you'll see and notice that you have to tell them 5, 10, 15, even 20 times, but whatever moves the needle, right? So with this, the clarity is going to align your vision, and you're going to want metrics so your team can know they are aligned with that. Now, with metrics, there's a few things that you can look at. What we look at is going to be billable hours, which is the availability time. How frequent are they seeing clients based on how much time they have open on their schedule? And then we have cancellation rates, so we know what's going on there. And then we have our KPIs and quality assurance calls that we do randomly, just to make sure clients' needs are being met and that our team's doing what they say they're doing. Now, once you have the combination of your metrics and just numbers to look at, you'll get clear, because if your plan is to have a private practice and transition into an agency, well, you need to make sure you have some processes in place. And you need to make sure that you know how many team members you need to accomplish certain goals and caseloads and headcounts, right? And you're not going to just guess this number. We got to look at the details because it's going to be specific to your business, how you run, the area, who you serve. And yeah, it's like a well-oiled machine that's moving in one direction, the same direction. And now everyone is aligned and there's no confusion. It's much easier to operate when your team's clear. It's much easier to use their strengths and leverage their skills to help you grow. And now you're like a community. It keeps moving, it keeps growing. So that's the first thing you want to do. Now, if you're already clear on your vision and mission and you know where you're headed, you're doing well communicating with your team, awesome. Then this might be your next stop coming up. So this next lever is going to be our client lever. It's really bring in the right clients and keep them coming back. I hear it too frequently where I have practice owners who aren't able to retain clients. And that's typically due to messaging, how they're communicating with them, if not bad service, right? If you are only there for the money, that they're gonna get that vibe and energy off of you from the sessions. They spend enough time with you to feel like you don't care, and that's the direction they're gonna go with. It just happens. So you want to make sure that you need a consistent way that you can attract your ideal market with clear messaging, enroll them easily into services. There should be a map that helps them get from point A to point Z. And then you need to be able to retain them with strong engagement and outcomes. So let's dive into attracting your ideal market. Just because you went to school and you can see children, you can see adults, and you can also work with married couples, doesn't mean you should serve all of them. Now, this is in a more general clinical sense, but just stay with me. All right. So if you are a doctor and you only specialize in sports injuries, do you think you should deliver someone's child and baby because you're a doctor? No. You have a specialty that you trained under, and that's what you lead with. No different with your marketing and messaging. Your ideal clients is who you get most energy from serving and who you are best at serving, right? Who gets the outcomes from coming to you? What does that demographic look like? We want to know what that is, and you should know what that is for your business. And if you don't know, that might be something you have to figure out, and this is going to be your exit. Also, if they don't have a clear roadmap on how to get services with you and how to continue and not stop, and they're confused, they're going to end up leaving too because they don't even know what the end looks like, the end result. They don't know what's next after they made a call to see if you had any clinicians available, or after your first intake session and you haven't showed them how long you like to work with them. They don't know what to expect, so they're going to come when they feel like it or just not show up at all. And that's where we see the retaining of client issues because they're not getting any or feeling like they're getting any growth. Another thing with retaining them, if they're feeling like they're getting growth, it's a great gauge on knowing if you are providing great services or not. Only because we get into this business to serve, right? Firstly, serve clients. But if you have a bad product in general, it's just going to spread word that you have a bad product. And that's what we don't want. We want to actually change people's lives in the best way. And then you can reap the fruits of the reward following that. If you're like, AJ, my marketing and messaging is all good, that is completely fine. Then you're probably need to look at your care lever, right? This is the model and the delivery. You never forget what matters most, and that's going to be helping people heal. So with helping people heal, scaling can't mean that your clients get less attention. It doesn't have to mean that at all. This lever just ensures that your services are delivered in a model that is client centered. Now that you know what services look like, you communicated them working with you and how long and all that stuff, what they can expect from working with you is clearly communicated. Your services should be aligned with that. If you know how long it typically takes you on average to work with a client experiencing certain symptoms or diagnoses, then you start with that. And every client is different, so it doesn't have to go the same way, copy, paste, repeat, but you should have a foundation at the bare minimum of what you're doing. And so you want to look at the services you're providing. And maybe you're spread thin because you're providing too many types of services within your practice, but you're not performing them at an excellent level. So maybe it's time to scale down and figure out which ones are you best at, because outcomes, you want them to stay strong, right? And excellence is maintained as you grow when you do it this way. You want to not grow fast, right? And have poor systems, poor team, and then everything's just not working out, and no one likes working with you or your practice. You put a bad taste in their mouth. That's what we don't want. We want, if you can provide the best service and outcomes over the long term, you're going to sustain and outlast many of these businesses that you see. And that's just evident in the care that you provide, because care means growth never comes at the cost of quality. All right. Excuse me, that might even be your instance. Maybe you are providing excellent service and you got great reviews, but something's still off and not working. Then what we're going to look at for you, this is going to be your cash flow lever. You want to look at your pricing, revenue, profits, insurance, contracts, all the above, because profit is what makes your business and your mission sustainable. Your numbers must work or your practice becomes a stressful hobby. You don't want a stressful hobby. You could have just worked for someone else if that's what you wanted. But no, you want to build a successful, profitable business. And this lever helps you with just that, because it's going to help you with the prices. So price your services correctly. Now, if you have insurances, this is heavily going to be dependent on your contracts with them. But if you're cash pay, you're just going to look at the numbers, look at the market, and maybe your ideal clients are going to help you figure out that pricing as well. Because now that you know who you serve, you know what they can pay, what they can afford, if you need to go with government insurance and get them on the contract, right? These are just some things you can look at. You also need to track your revenue and, collections, and also your payroll. When you look at how much you're paying, what's going out versus what's coming in, is it even worth it? This is where you can look at, this will help you look at those services as well. If you have more than one services and different type of, roles and clinicians in your agency, you might want to dial it down. But this will spell it out for you once you look at it. So pull all your reports, bank statements, and just get into it. And you also want to build, healthy profit margins. If you pay $5 to make $4, you are losing $1. It doesn't matter how much money you bring in. It's going to keep losing at a bigger rate. So that's why it's important to have those healthy margins in the beginning and to look at it from just the baseline of your costs and expenses. And then another thing is that with cash flow, it ensures that your practice is worth running, because revenue feeds the practice, but that profit is going to fuel the vision. For us, we had to sit down and look at this. We had a cash flow problem. And with these, you'll notice that these happen in seasons. You're going to come through them again. You might be at a different exit that you need to figure these things out. It's not going to be one time only. These levers are just generally seasons that you have to problem solve and put out these fires. Right now, be transparent with you, we are in a cash flow period right now. That's the lever that we're at. And we're solving for that right now and just super focused on that. But it's so much easier once you know what levers to look for and then being able to dive into it. Now, after your cash flow lever and maybe you're all set on there, you have the capacity lever, which is your team and the systems, right? You build a team and systems that can grow with you. You are the visionary, the CEO, the owner, the entrepreneur. Your vision and your team and your systems are going to all grow with you. You can't be the only one growing. You can't only have other people growing. It has to happen simultaneously for it to sustain. You can't scale if you're the only one doing everything. This lever will help you though, because you can hire the right people at the right time. You don't have to go over budget. You don't have to feel like you can't afford to hire someone. You look at the numbers, you go down the rabbit hole. Once you know what your net profit is for your insurance contracts and the services that you're providing, you'll know exactly what roles to hire for. Now, you want to build smart systems and automations as well. This is just going to buy back your time with these, because stuff that's easily repeatable that you can do copy paste. If you can put in a system and some automations in place, it's going to flow and allow you to focus on what really matters more. And that might be your team members that need some more one-on-one time and some training and coaching. And that might be some clients. You might see some more clients in that end. I like to dial you back. If you are a clinician owner or a therapist owner seeing clients, majority of the clients, I like to dial you back because it's harder for you to scale if you're always in sessions. But you can create a replica and copy paste yourself in a sense by hiring the right people who are aligned with your vision, your culture, most importantly. And then with that, what your business is all about, and they can easily replicate you. Now, it's not going to be at the level of you, but that's why you're the entrepreneur and the owner. But you can reach that much more people if you can train them up with the skills that they lack, especially if their culture and their mission is aligned. They won't be building their own atmosphere and environment within your business. And then you want to create a practice that runs smoothly without bottlenecks. I don't want to say without bottlenecks, only because they come up. That's why these levers are here. It's just being able to, how fast you can figure out what lever to pull and what bottleneck you're at and what problem to solve for is going to be the main thing. Is just the speed to being able to do so. But the capacity is going to help you grow without burning out. You have this team, you have the support, and now we're just building the Avengers of your practice. I'm a Marvel nerd, so I had to throw that in there. I love Marvel, DC comics, and superheroes, and I just love the general principles of it. Like you see people who get powers, who has their superpowers. You as a clinician, you have a purpose or a passion to do something, and you're really good at it, and that's your superpower. And you're gonna come across times where you just need help. You cannot do it on your own, and that is okay. And that's what everything is all about. And scaling and moving to that next level is about, is realizing where you need help, getting a team to do it, because it's about who and not how all the time. And these 5 levers are, I don't know what's going on today with my stuttering, but these 5 levers are here to help you, right? So that way you can implement this and build and scale your practice. Now, go ahead, go back through this if you need to rewatch it. I hope you took some type of notes, but this hopefully helps you grow your practice in a way that you've always envisioned it, and in a way that you can sustain it and actually love growing it and not be burnt out by it. We want to do this without losing your purpose, your team, and most importantly, your purpose. So I hope this helped you out. If you need or know anyone that needs this, please go ahead and share this with them. Let's go ahead and build a practice that works for you and not against you. See you.